back to Vinyl Friday, where I go through my records like a big nerd and talk about why I love them. Also, welcome back to Vinyl Friday, where it is my birthday month. Sometime in the month of September is my birthday, the anniversary of the day that I was born. I'm so excited. Today we're going to talk about a song that I feel soundtracks the transition from the artist's adolescence, youth, into her adulthood, and oddly enough, I feel like it does the same for me as well. We'll get into some more detail about that a little later. I have to say the lighting in this episode is going to be wild because it's blowing a gale outside. So in between lovely sunny moments like this, we're going to have violent thunderstorms. Please join me on this journey of shadows and light. Now, apart from the obvious exception of the Beatles, I wouldn't normally cover the same artist twice in a year. However, it is my birthday month and I'm throwing the rulebook out the window. So for the second time in this, the year of our dog, 2025, let's talk about Joni Mitchell. We covered Joni Mitchell's early years, childhood, etc. in the last episode we did about her this year, which was about Hejira, and which you can watch here. And because of this, we're going to skip over that bit, fast forward to where she releases Song to a Seagull, Clouds, and Ladies of the Canyon in 1968, 69, and 70 respectively. In 1971 and 1974, she puts out these behemoth albums, Blue, and Court and Spark. Respectively. And in between those two monstrously popular albums is this quirky, uncertain little piece of work entitled For the Roses. And it sounds like this. Oh, I forgot to mention, or almost forgot, see, I just remembered to mention, that this is a test fit of the cabinet that will eventually live in this space. The construction correspondent is in the process of making this for us, and we are currently trying to decide how we want to paint it. The world is our oyster. And let me know in the comments if you have any specific ideas for color palettes or what have you.
Come to the dinner, girl. The table is waiting. Come with me. I know the way. She says it's too much choice. If you need to believe in something, once I couldn't know. So tonight I can feel it. I just like to see you sometime. When you don't try, Jesus, well, and you yell it.
Okay, I'm ready. So we talked about Song to a Seagull, Clouds, Ladies of the Canyon, and those albums have this charming, light naivete to them. I don't mean to patronize, they're all incredibly good albums. But if Blue is an album of heartbreak, and Court and Spark sounds like the slick work of a seasoned songwriter, this album is their bridge, and it ranks higher than Blue for me. There, I said it. It's a reckoning of sorts. She gathers up all of her experiences to date, and she applies them to these wider themes of the human condition and one's place in the universe. It is quietly, and sometimes electrifyingly, contemplative. She's figuring things out. Plus, she's butt naked on the inside cover. But the song that I think best embodies the feel of this album doesn't speak to those loftier themes that I mentioned, doesn't refer to them specifically at all. What it does do is that it captures flawlessly what it feels like to become an adult. The song is Blonde in the Bleachers, and it is one of my favorite pieces of music in the known universe. Let's start by talking about the lyrics. I'm going to read them in their entirety because they are short and they merit your full attention. Here we go. Brace yourself for poetry. The blonde in the bleachers, she flips her hair for you above the loudspeakers. You start to fall. She follows you home, but you miss living alone. You can still hear sweet mysteries calling you. The bands and the roadies loving him and leaving him. It's pleasure to try him, it's trouble to keep him. 'Cause it seems like you've got to give up such a piece of your soul when you give up the chase. Feeling it hot and cold, you're in rock and roll. It's the nature of the race. It's the unknown child, so sweet and wild. It's youth. It's too good to waste. She tapes her regrets to the microphone stand. She says you can't hold the hand of a rock and roll man very long, or count on your plans with a rock and roll man very long. Compete with the fans for your rock and roll man for very long. The girls and the bands and the rock and roll man. It's separated quite neatly into two parts. The first is from the point of view of a male performer. She speaks to the thrill of the chase, of this main character not needing to settle down with anyone or commit because there is just such an abundance of choice. And there's a whole sense of boys will be boys, especially within the music industry, within this rock and roll industry, in lines like, it feels like you've got to give up such a piece of your soul. Like it's this intrinsic part of rock and roll men to chase after women, young women specifically. I really love the closing line, so sweet and wild, it's youth, it's too good to waste, because, and we're in the dark. I have a ring light, but it's really no match for this. Right, it's youth, it's too good to waste. Because she's not specifying whether it's the youth of the male performer, like these are his halcyon days, he needs to go out and, or if it's the youth of their admirers, the unknown child, so sweet and wild, its youth, it's too good to waste. Then there's a break, a bridge, a lyrical pause. It's an instrumental section. And when we come back, the point of view has shifted. We're now looking at this from the perspective of a female performer, presumably on the other side of the youth that's too good to waste. She speaks of loss and she speaks of lessons learned. She tapes her regrets to the microphone stand. It is a set list of these songs about losses and lessons. And this is the genius of Joni. The lyrics don't tell us that this second character is a performer or about what any of these songs speak to. She shows us. She provides us with this single image in the first line that allows us to not only know the details of this person, but to know the person herself. It's also very meta because we are currently listening to this set list of songs on this album on the outside. Be still my beating heart. And there's, in this section, a sense of recognition and of moving on to the next phase of one's life, leaving behind this rock and roll lifestyle and the madness of it all, and the youth, all of that. And the music supports this. Let's talk about the music. Part 1 has a piano style that is very similar to what she was doing on Blue. It's solo, it's confessional, and it's technically very similar as well, which the piano correspondent will go into more detail about. Let's have it, my friend. Joni Mitchell has this sort of trademark, sort of a thing that she does in the bass. There's also a specific rhythm that she uses with the right hand, so like... that sort of... I don't know, maybe it's subtle, but they're very Joni Mitchell-isms, and they come through loud and clear on this track. These chords are beautiful, and they're more complex, I would argue, than anything that we really heard on Blue. Consistently, there are all of these incredible twists and turns as well. You never know where anything's going to go on this song. I just feel like I could go through the entire song talking about all of the beautiful chords, because the song in its entirety is just beautiful chords. But we're gonna go through the section that begins the bands and the roadies. I've limited myself to that part of the song. Here are the chords for that section of the song. We begin here. Very pretty. A little bit of this. And then, wait for it. What? Followed by... and then out of nowhere... pretty. And then we've got this beautiful little... and then at So When You Give Up the Chase... beautiful. Let's have that all in context. Still hear sweet mysteries call.
calling you. The band's in the roadies, loving him and leaving him. It's pleasure to try and it's trouble to keep him. 'Cause it seems like you've got to give up such a piece of your soul when you give up the chase.
It is structurally sophisticated. I don't know what you would call a verse in this song because one idea seems to just flow into the next. It is a singular talent that she has, that you are listening to this and you're not even looking for a structure. It just takes you along on the ride. It grabs you by the hand and is like, here we go, we're going this direction. She toys with a high harmony at this section of the song.
Such a piece of your soul when you give up the chase.
Soul. I think that harkens back to Ladies of the Canyon. And you can hear some of that earlier influence in that harmony there, which is bordering on celestial, casually. I love the melody that follows after that with the on the line hot and cold, you're in rock and roll. It's the nature of the race. Here.
Feeling it hard and cold, you're in rock and roll.
And then in our next line, she's duetting with the piano, Unknown Child, Sweet and Wild. Here.
So sweet and wild, it's youth, it's too good to waste.
I love this song so much. So far in the song, it's texturally familiar. It harkens back, intentionally or unintentionally, to many moments in Ladies of the Canyon and Blue. And then we arrive at our instrumental section. It's basically the same as the introduction. And you can literally hear the transition from one point of view to the second because there is a pause in the music. A beat extends a little bit longer than it should. It's like a breath or a moment of reflection. Whew, here we go. Okay. Moment of reflection, and then we drop into our second section.
She tapes her regrets to the microphone.
And this is one of my favorite drops in music. Let's listen to it.
She says you can't hold the hand.
Deep breath. We're crying about Joni Mitchell again. Yep, that's what's happening. Okay. Oh, it's such a good drop, though. There's this dramatic drum fill.
She tapes her regrets to the microphone stand. She says you can't hold.
And with the crash comes the bass. It feels heavier. There's this mature gravitas about this section of the song. It feels like she's singing in a way that she hasn't before. Her singing on Blue was emotive, but it was like this grief-stricken keening. And the vocals in this section have the weight and depth of accepting what one can't change. I love them so much, especially this line.
Oh, count on your plans with the rock and roll man.
We're crying again. Again.
The rock and roll man, very long.
As we draw to a close, we have a close harmony.
Rock and roll man.
And then the drums begin to freestyle. The chords get jazzier. We have sax. We have electric guitar. We are in court and sparkland, baby. And these are all things that made me fall in love with the song, but they are not what secured its place in the canon of my all-time greatest. Now, this next part is gonna sound crazy, so I'm duty-bound to arm you with the information that I have very unusual, very specific dreams, incredibly detailed. And I come with receipts because there was a brief period last year where I was documenting these dreams. So here are some examples. Last night I dreamed that I woke up and realized that it was Monday morning and that I had altogether too many responsibilities, so I morphed into a white cat named Jake to live out the remainder of my days. Here's another. Last night I dreamed that I was eating the perfect apricot brioche and I was about to take the final bite, which was exactly the right ratio of fruit to bread, when my alarm went off. Devastating. Now that's all fairly normal. However, The dream was shot on expired film. It was grainy and classy. Finally, last night I dreamed that Beyoncé unveiled her latest spoken word poetry album to an audience of primary school students in their auditorium. They were completely unfocused, and I, also on the stage for unknown reasons, kept shouting helplessly, "Do you not know who this is?" You get the idea. So, I had this dream, of sorts, on the eve of my 27th birthday, and in this dream, I was standing in a space that felt chaotic and also familiar. Before me was this sort of invisible barrier, and I knew that if I crossed that barrier, I could never go back. I also had this noetic understanding that while it would be hard at times, it would also be incredibly rewarding. And moreover, it felt like the correct thing to do. That to not do it would be like a perversion of the course of destiny. I swear, I'm not trying to sound like a wanker here. Please, bear with me. The dream was soundtracked by this song. When it reached the drop, I stepped forward and in unison with the crash cymbal, left my youth behind and strode into my adulthood. And that is kind of exactly what happened once I'd woken up as well. This is why the song is one of the best of my life. A stellar example of the ineffable magic of music. One might form an emotional attachment to the original message of a song, or one can build memories and associations with that song that extend beyond its intended meaning. It can eventually belong to you in a way that its parent may have never envisioned, and it transcends any language that could attempt to capture the emotional experience that's being had by the listener. So there we go. It's a birthday song. And a great way to kick off birthday month 2025. That's it from me today. If you enjoyed this episode, or you would like to support any of the weird things I do, or you would just like to celebrate my birthday with me, that feels really cheeky. Okay, I take back that last. I'll leave a link in the description to my Buy Me a Coffee page where you are most welcome to make a donation if you wish, but no pressure, my friends. I understand that times are very hard, and I appreciate so much everyone who has made a donation or signed up as a member. You mean the world to me. If this isn't something you can afford to do, please don't feel guilty. I'm not mad at you. If you're curious about what any of my original music sounds like, I'll leave a link in the description to that as well. My band has a new album coming out very shortly, so there will be more of that to listen to in the near future. We're very excited. We feel that it is very good. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you here next week for some Beatles, for some White Album. Have a great weekend! Let's listen to it one more time.
She takes her regrets to the microphone stage. She says you can't hold her hand on a rock and roll man. Come down your hands with the rock and roll man. With the hands on your rock and roll man.
Oh, I'm done.